You work hard for your money. It's time to keep some of it for yourself and treat savings like an expense.
Welcome back to My Dedication. In this episode, we are going to go over what I believe to be the most important part of your financial life: savings. Saving money today can seem like a cruel joke with everything else you have to pay in your life. But I'm going to show you how to automate savings and learn to live within your means without even thinking about it. We will get there together, but for now, let's finish your brick by brick budget. Under the savings category, you have emergency fund, retirement, investments, education, a new used car, home down payment, extra principal on your mortgage, extra principal on the car loan, opportune savings, and then total it up. Savings, if that term bores you, or you can't possibly think about how you can save money with all of your bills and commitments, then come up with a different name for it. Call it security, hope, freedom, or happiness. They say money can't buy happiness. That may or may not be true, but complete control of your money gives you the freedom to pursue the things that actually bring you joy. Emergency savings. Everyone needs to think of savings differently. We grow up, and many of us think savings are what you get to keep after everyone and everything is paid off. This is flawed logic and needs to drastically change if you're going to get ahead. Just for fun, step outside of your own head for a second and look at this differently. Stay with me. Savings isn't what is left over. Savings is an expense, equally as important as rent or your electricity. What? Your old self may be asking. Again, keep thinking about this with me. When you treat saving as a necessary expense, you begin to give it the respect and importance that it deserves. I say this all of the time, and so do many other personal finance authors. Why work so hard for so many hours every week and not keep a single dollar for yourself? That is exactly what you are doing if you have credit card debt, no emergency savings, and are living paycheck to paycheck. In fact, in that situation, you have even less than zero because you owe the bank's interest on top of the money you spent on the cards that you didn't have in the first place. Ouch. You absolutely must treat savings like an expense and automate it so you learn to live without this money on a daily basis, therefore forcing yourself to keep a portion of the money you earn. You may have heard people say this 100 times. Pay yourself first. And the concept sounds good, but there is never enough money at the end of the month to put away. This goes back to human nature, like I mentioned before. You are wired to spend everything that comes into your hands because it is gratifying and gives you more immediate pleasure. Take this choice out of your control and instead pay yourself a portion of your income every month on the first, as if your savings is another house, you are renting, and you are the landlord. At first, this number doesn't have to be very big at all. You just need to get used to doing it. Remember the part where we discussed how you may be one of the people who buys coffee, a bagel, a sandwich, and a bottle of water for lunch? There is your $50 that you pay yourself, and that's just from not doing those things for one day. I started out by saving $50 every 2 weeks when I began my own financial journey 2 decades ago. Today, my fiance and I save over 30 to 40% of our income automatically every month, and it is an amount well over our mortgage payment. Again, this isn't a competition, and I am not bragging. I'm simply showing you that brick by brick, you can also accomplish this and begin to feel fully in control and financially secure. I promised you the how-to, so here we go. Here is a foolproof way to begin saving and not be tempted to simply transfer the money back for the next thing that you want to buy. Take this ability and choice away from yourself by doing the following. So let's assume you have a bank checking account at one of the major banks like Chase or Bank of America. Today, or on your next day off, drive to your closest credit union and open their highest yield savings account that they offer. Credit unions are member-owned and not for-profit, so they oftentimes can provide better savings rates than the big for-profit fee-charging banks. If you can't tell, I'm a huge fan of credit unions, and I think your money would do better buried in the ground than in a bank savings account. Not literally, just making a point. Okay, back to the task at hand. While you are in the credit union, go up to the friendly customer service rep and ask them how much it costs to open an account, even if you are not technically affiliated with the group that traditionally makes up the credit union membership. For example, I use A Plus Credit Union, which originally only allowed teachers to be members. Today, you can open an account for as little as $10 in a savings account that belongs to you, so not actually a fee at all. I don't make any money from A Plus Credit Union. It is just a great company that looks out for its members, unlike any big bank. So open the savings account and then have them walk you through how to set up an automatic transfer of $50 every 2 weeks from your big bank to your new credit union savings account. Here's the key to this method. Do not allow the credit union to give you a debit card or online access to the new savings account. You may think that I've lost it or gone crazy, but please try to understand the logic here. As your savings begin to grow every single month, you don't want to have ready access to this money because, again, you may be tempted to use it on non-emergencies. This money will continue to automatically grow with some interest, and it will make up your emergency fund. Just like that, after just 1 year, you will have $1,200 saved plus any interest earned. As this account is growing, you are also getting out of credit card debt and adding more emergency savings whenever possible. The point of not having a debit card or online access to this account is that it keeps your money safe from you. In the event of an actual emergency, like job loss or a loss in the family, you will have to physically walk into a branch and withdraw the money in person, giving you time to reflect and a cool down period before accessing the money. This step alone helped me save for the down payment on my current home. I didn't have online access or debit card access to my down payment account, so I was never tempted to use the money. In fact, many times I even forgot it was there. Over time, as your debt shrinks and your budget shifts more toward that of a saver, you will be able to add even more money to your weekly automatic savings transfer until one day you are saving hundreds every week, fully funding your emergency account and helping to fund your more mid-range goals like buying a new used car or putting money down on your new home. You want the money to be accessible, but you do not want to access it without having to physically walk into the branch. I was extremely proud and happy when I walked into the credit union and asked them to give me the check for my down payment on our home. You will feel the same level of pride and confidence as you begin to see your hard work actually rewarded. Again, this process must be automated, and you must not have online or debit card access to your savings if you are going to be truly successful with this method. If you don't believe me, just try it for 3 months and see if it works. You'll be surprised how little you miss the money and how well the system works. It protects your savings from the biggest threat to it, yourself. Now that you have a method for actually saving and doing it automatically, let's look at all the different types of saving that I put in this category. Do not worry if you aren't in a place to start saving for retirement or some of the other items in this list. If you are in the foundational phase of the daily dedication, it is far more important to fund your emergency account and work toward getting out of credit card debt as soon as possible. Once your credit card debt is paid off, you don't just get to all of a sudden start spending the money you were using to pay it off. You divert that payment amount to savings and continue to live well within your means. This, in effect, makes you the new credit card company, except now you directly benefit from every payment you make. Once people reach this point in the system is where I see the most aha moments and the sparkle in people's eyes. That is because they now understand that they can do this. There is no magical formula, just time-tested techniques that produce real results. The excitement, hope, pride, and confidence in people begins to skyrocket because control is being returned to them or within grasp for the first time. If you need an actual step-by-step walkthrough of how to set up this type of automatic transfer, please see my video walkthrough on emergency savings transfers. I put the entire process in a video so you can follow along with me until you are automatically saving for your security. As I mentioned before, it is not a sign of weakness to ask for help. So while you are in the credit union, ask to sit with a representative and don't leave until they successfully walk you through the process and explain it in a way that you understand. These folks do this for a living, so it's okay if you don't understand a concept or process. Ask for them to show you again and help you because you are setting up a very important step in your financial journey. Other items in the savings category explained a little bit further. Retirement, 401k, and IRAs. These investment vehicles will be explained in much greater detail in Chapter 10, Cruise Control, how to automatically save for retirement. For now, just understand that these can also be automated and maxed out so you are virtually guaranteed to retire wealthy, or at the very least, substantially richer than if you never saved for retirement at all. 401k millionaires are more common today than ever before, thanks to automation and mutual funds and index funds. To not get too bogged down in these subjects, let's just leave it there for now and revisit this once you have completed the other steps of the daily dedication. When you have completed the foundational steps of the system and learned how to automate your entire financial life, including savings, then we can discuss these topics. If your employer offers a 401k with a percentage match, do yourself a favor and contribute to the plan at least the percentage that matches your employer's contribution. This is free money that will help you save for retirement with great tax benefits up front. If you are out of debt and have a fully funded emergency account, you can also look into adding automatic contributions into a tax-advantaged traditional IRA, or if your income allows, the great choice of a Roth IRA. These accounts have yearly limits, and you can direct your investments inside the accounts to help you reach your retirement goals. If this sounds confusing, don't worry. By the end of our series, you will completely understand how to use, fund, and automate these retirement vehicles. Investments. Once you have fully funded and maxed out contributions to your 401k and IRA accounts, you can consider self-directed investments through a brokerage account. I cannot advise you to purchase individual stocks or funds because I am not licensed to sell securities. However, I can tell you that a set it and forget it methodology of regularly investing in a fund that follows the S&P 500 index has historically averaged over 10% over the last 100 years. That's over 7% when adjusted for inflation and far outperforms traditional savings vehicles. Different years can have significantly different returns, which is why you hear every expert under the sun recommending regular contributions over long periods of time to smooth out the volatility and take advantage of compounded growth through your income-generating years. If any of this just made you nod off to sleep, I promise to bring these concepts to life later in this series and show you how it applies to your unique situation, which will be far more interesting to you than just talking overall theory. Education. If you currently have thousands in student loans for a degree that you may or may not be using for your career, make sure you are making those monthly payments so your debt doesn't go into collections and harm your credit score. Different presidential administrations enact different rules when it comes to repayment of student loans, so do a search for your obligation and make sure you are staying in good standing. Federal student loans have pretty low interest rates, so I still suggest paying off credit card debt and fully funding your emergency account before tackling this debt. If your payments are manageable, it is more important to get your foundational steps in line before attacking this debt. Once you are in a better position, we can treat this just like any other debt and begin to pay more toward principal to shorten the length of the loan and save you a lot of money in interest payments. I'd rather see you in your own home, paying extra toward principal every month, and have your entire financial life in order before tracking this commitment. Different administrations have offered to forgive this debt or put it on hold, or put them on income-driven repayment plans, or reenact higher payments, or. I'm not telling you to not honor your obligation, but until I see a concrete plan given to student loan recipients, I'd rather you spend your time and money toward bettering your situation. I also support people who want to pay for continuing education or certificate and licensing programs that directly result in higher wages and income. If you are just going to do a master's program because your family always wanted you to, that's taking on the cost of a house for something you may not even want to do. So evaluate these educational choices carefully. I went to Wesleyan University, a top liberal arts school in the country. I left Wesleyan with the same degree as everyone else and the ability to read and write. Sorry to downplay the education, but the full cost of this school would have been over $200,000 had I not received grant money and federal assistance through the FAFSA program. I was one of the lucky ones to escape college with less than $20,000 in debt, a modest amount compared to some of my friends who got out with over $150,000 in debt. I'm not saying the education wasn't worth it. I am saying that you should look at these numbers before you just haphazardly plowing headfirst into a mountain of debt that you are responsible for no matter what. I have a Bachelor of Arts in Liberal Arts with a focus in performing arts. That doesn't exactly equate to a high-paying career. I now use my musical skills for personal enjoyment, and I have been able to use my career in restaurants to save and purchase 4 properties in less than 10 years. It's not about how much you make. It is about how much you save. Limit debt and avoid it altogether when possible. Think about it. If someone with no debt saves $20,000, she can use it to buy property, or a car outright with cash, or many different things with the power of cash, making them pay far greater interest on purchases such as property, land, or cars. In other words, treat education for what it is, an opportunity to learn and grow, and possibly make more money because of your qualifications or degree. Big focus on that word possibly. I know some people with advanced degrees and high income earning positions who let lifestyle creep and spending match or exceed their income. If these same people lived well below their means and purchased a modest house in cash, they would be able to stop working altogether far faster than someone who increases spending every time they get a raise. One lifestyle isn't better over the other, and people can like luxurious or nicer things, but true financial freedom will elude those who match spending to their income. New used car. I love to say buy a new used car. People look at me sideways. Buying a new car is more exciting and flashy than searching for a reasonably priced one. People continue to buy new cars all of the time, even though every single person I've ever talked to knows that they lose a lot of their value as soon as you drive away from the lot. Cars are a tool and a way to get to and from work or take the occasional trip. They are not assets at all. Assets increase in value and help your overall financial well-being. Cars are money sucks that will keep you from reaching your goals if financed improperly or bought without careful consideration. I always opt for buying certified pre-owned vehicles or quality used cars entirely in cash. You can save for such a large purchase by using the same budgeting methods from earlier in this series. While your current car still runs and gets you to and from work, you can't just sit around and not save for the next car, because one day, and at the least opportune moment, your car will die or otherwise become useless. When this happens, you don't want to be forced into financing a car, especially now that used cars are being sold at a premium price. Buying too much car can ruin your financial future and keep you years behind and in too much debt. Paying too much monthly on a car loan takes away from every other asset category we have covered so far. I will go into car buying in extreme harsh detail with anyone who wants to go toe-to-toe with me on this subject. Here is the basic, more useful information without me having to put on the gloves. Take your salary before taxes and find 25% of it. That number is the maximum amount you should pay for a car to allow you to fully fund the rest of your future goals. For simplicity's sake, say you make $100,000 before taxes. This means you can comfortably afford a $25,000 car if you also put down 20%, or $5,000. Have no more than 4-year loan term and keep the monthly payment to 10% of your monthly salary. These numbers will allow you to comfortably afford the car while contributing fully to the budget categories that matter for your future. Then, think about this common knowledge information just to illustrate the point. It's called the 20-4-10 rule. If you are going to finance a car, put down 20% with a maximum loan term of 4 years, no more than 48 months. This ensures less interest to the finance company and make sure you don't end up owing more than the car is worth. The 10 refers to never spending more than 10% of your monthly income on a car payment. If you make $4,000 a month, that means your payment should not exceed $400. This will allow you to fully fund our other goals and account for the other hidden or less thought of costs of car ownership, including tax, title, insurance, registration costs, oil changes, maintenance, part replacements, and garage labor, insurance, gas, depreciation, parking, on and on and on. The delayed gratification method of driving a reliable used car while saving for a nicer one in cash is acceptable. Too many people pay far too much for a car, making it similar to driving inside an unaffordable debt. Ideally, you want to buy a certified pre-owned car in cash so that you can keep some warranty years and the mileage, and someone else has paid the $5,000 to $10,000 new car premium for you. To save for such a big purchase, you can't use the same method we have used so far, because simply dividing $25,000 by 12 will create an unattainable monthly budget number of $2,083 a month. That is unrealistic. Items like cars and down payments for homes are considered mid-range goals that should take you anywhere between 3 to 5 years to accomplish. So while you are driving your current car, you are keeping it in good condition and making sure that it can last another 5 years while you save for the next car. Let's take our $25,000 example. You divide that full amount by 60, the total number of months in 5 years, giving you a monthly budget figure of $416 a month. This number of $416 is far more manageable, and at the end of 5 years, you will have enough to buy the car outright. If you don't make $100,000 per year, which many people do not, let's do another example. Say you make $60,000 by yourself, or that is your total household income. By our method above, that means you should not buy a car more than $15,000. This is still doable today, and you can find quality used vehicles for this price. Ask for all Carfax reports and get an independent mechanic to inspect the car before you purchase it. Sticking to our system, you should divide 15,000 by 60, the number of months in 5 years, giving you a monthly budget figure of $250. People always ask me, but what if my car dies in 3 years, or worse, 2? That is horrible luck, but in this situation, you will have a much more sizable down payment to finance a car you can actually afford. If your car died in 3 years instead of 5, that means you would have $9,000 to put down on that $15,000 car, more than half as a down payment, which will make your payments incredibly low, and you can add extra to the principal each month to pay off the car much faster than if you saved $0 towards the car. Many people I've helped, or those that find these ideas cute or good in theory, tend to naysay or downplay the importance of these savings methods. They tell me, that's great and all, but there is no way I can save for everything you are talking about. I always respond by reminding everybody that they are already paying or will have to pay for everything that we've talked about above. It's just that they are doing it with no plan and approaching each expense as it comes, leaving them in debt and wildly unprepared for each event. You will have to buy a car. You will have to pay for emergencies. You need to have insurance. You need to save. You will need to buy new clothes. So humor me and try my method if what you have done so far hasn't worked. For the next category is the home down payment. Yes, the rent versus own debate. Here is the simple answer. Rent as affordably as possible while doing every step in the daily dedication until you can afford to purchase a modest home within your means. There you go. I'm not snobbishly looking down at you from my driveway because you rent. Renting is a great tool to see if you like the area enough to call it home. It also lets you track real estate trends in the area and understand if you are paying too much for a home. My fiance and I just lived through the pandemic like the rest of you and watched our neighbor's house go from $230,000 up to a ridiculous $600,000 during that 1 month of record highs and back down to $345,000, all within a 5-year period. That's an insane real estate roller coaster ride. And if we were not renting and understanding the overpriced market, we could have run the risk of buying a home when it was wildly overpriced. Instead, we patiently waited for the majority of homes outside the Austin area to come back to earth, and we never looked at homes that were outside of our agreed upon price range, no matter how tempting or if they had a water feature in the front yard. You can take the amount of home that the bank says you can afford, politely smile, then leave the building and laugh at those numbers. That number will have you working far too many days of the month just to pay for housing. Our lender told us that we could be pre-approved for $550,000. I laughed because did you notice that that number is over $500,000? Yeah, no thanks. We set our sights on properties below $375,000 and looked for over a year before finding a new build home that we loved for $370,000. The lender even covered closing costs and threw in all the appliances and blinds for free as part of a promotion. The lesson here is to not listen to what lenders say you can afford. That calculation will be the upper limits of what you can afford, and you're going to want to be able to afford your mortgage even if your partner loses their job. If I lost my income, do you honestly think we could afford a $550,000 home on one income? That's a joke. Keep it simple. Go far below what you are pre-approved for, and don't get sucked into buying too much house. You need a safe, comfortable place to live. The extra features that make a house cost over $500,000 are not needs by any means. Keeping your mortgage payment as reasonable and low as possible will allow you to budget for all of the items we have gone over so far and give you enough left over to put extra toward principal, saving you years and tens of thousands of dollars in interest over the course of that loan. My fiance and I are able to put $650 extra more toward the principal each month while still fully planning for our other goals. This turns our 30-year fixed rate mortgage into a 15-year term and saves over $100,000 in interest. We will own our home in 15 years, and that's when our financial future will be truly set up for success, with the option to stop working or to work less strenuous jobs to pay for a simple, loving, and calm life. My example is just one way to go about home ownership, and in step 8, I will go over how to purchase a home in great detail, with a step-by-step plan from searching to closing and the cost to keep your home maintained. For your down payment goal, look at house prices that are within your means, meaning you can afford the mortgage, taxes, and insurance every month, even if you or your partner were to experience losing their job at some point. Say you are looking at houses that cost $350,000. You are going to want to save up at least 20% of this price to avoid private mortgage insurance. Although some lenders today are offering no PMI on down payments of just 15%. So shop around and ask about the different programs available. You are not committed to any one lender. Get the best deal you can, especially since this may be the biggest, most consequential purchase of your life. So for this example, that means saving up a staggering $70,000 plus a home emergency fund and closing costs, totaling sometimes more than $15,000. Take that $85,000 and divide it by the length of time you want to save for this purchase, oftentimes between 5 and 10 years. Saving for 5 years would mean you have to budget for $85,000 divided by 60, the number of months in 5 years, giving you a monthly figure of $1,416. That may seem impossible, but by step 8 of the daily dedication, you will not have any debt payments, no car payments, no revolving consumer debt of any kind. So that number becomes far more achievable than you think. If you are in your 20s, then 10 years really isn't a bad time frame to save for a home. This gives you a monthly budget figure of $85,000 divided by 120, the number of months in 10 years, resulting in just over $708 a month, which is less than many people's overpriced car payments right now. The point of this exercise is to set longer-term goals right alongside any monthly expenses and savings, so you are constantly working toward all of your goals and future at the same time. You are creating a solid roadmap of what it takes to reach every major life goal you wish to accomplish. If, after saving the $85,000, you decide you would rather purchase a tiny home outright and live off the grid, you now have the freedom to do so, and your housing is owned free and clear. Just a fun thought. You may want the house for family or future goals. Extra principal on your mortgage. This is one of my favorite techniques for getting ahead financially. It's a double whammy of savings power. If you listen to the previous lesson and eventually buy a house with a mortgage payment well within your means, then you can afford to add extra money directly toward principal each month, effectively lowering the interest and number of years needed to pay off the loan. Let's look at this a little closer, and we will revisit in greater detail in step 8, owning your home. Let's use my mortgage as an example. We pay $1,800 a month for our mortgage, escrowed taxes, and insurance. This payment is affordable, and we are able to add more each month directly to principal, meaning the payment doesn't go straight to interest, enriching the bank and not us. If you look at the payment schedule, otherwise known as an amortization schedule, each $1,800 payment only lowers the principal amount by just over $360. Look at those numbers again. We are paying $1,800 per month just to lower our principal balance by a lousy $360. That is exactly why we add the extra payment directly to principal, which lowers the number of years and interest paid over the course of the 30 years. It's a triple whammy in effect because the house also appreciates in value over those years. Doing this helps develop real wealth and financial freedom. Every mortgage company I have ever dealt with has an app on your phone and the easy-to-use option of automatically making extra payments toward principal on the loan. You want to confirm that your extra payments are actually going toward principal and not just being held to pay off the following month's mortgage. You can confirm this by looking at the online statements and loan activity detailed in every mortgage company's menu options. If you can't easily find this, call and confirm that your extra payments are being applied to principal and ask for a detailed statement to be mailed to you or how you can easily view this information online. Extra principal on your car loan. If you are financing a car, you must pay extra toward the principal balance every month to pay it off as soon as possible, while meeting all of your other budgeting goals. If you are in credit card debt, focus on paying those off and funding your emergency account. Those are the most important things right now in your situation. When your credit card debt is eliminated, then you need to apply some of those payments you were making to the principal balance on your car, because your car is continuously losing value while also charging you a high interest rate over the term of the loan. Most cars will effectively go upside down in terms of the financing after about year 5, meaning if you finance a car for longer than 5 years, you will owe more than it is worth and be paying thousands extra in interest while paying a high monthly premium, keeping you from meeting the rest of your budgeting goals. If that was a little confusing, just know that everything I just said is bad, and we want to avoid those situations by properly budgeting for and purchasing reliable used cars in cash, or never financing a car for more than 4 years, ever. Opportune Savings. Opportune is currently my favorite savings tool. This is a little-known app that needs more attention. It used to be called Digit, which was a service I used years ago to help me save for my first real estate purchase. Digit would take small amounts of money directly from your checking account that it analyzed and determined you did not need for everyday life. It would remove $10, $25, $35 at a time, depending on your bills and earnings, and keep it safely put away in a designated FDIC-insured account, meaning your deposits were safe and guaranteed up to $250,000, just like the seal you see on any bank, or NCUA, National Credit Union Administration, for credit unions. Opportune took over Digit and made some great upgrades. The app still analyzes your spending and automatically saves small amounts that you will not miss on a daily basis. It gives you more control than before by allowing you to set daily savings limits. For example, you tell it never to take out more than $50, and that's the comfortable number that you have, it won't do it. You can also set it to protect your balance in your checking account by automatically sending money back to it if it dips below a certain threshold that you set. For example, you set Opportune to send you money anytime your checking account dips below $1,000. This is far better than bank overdraft protection because it avoids fees altogether. I do not receive any money from Opportune. I am just incredibly impressed by this app because it takes the act of saving out of your hands and does it for you. The app does cost $5 a month, but considering it can help you find over $500 in savings every month that you will not miss, I think the price is more than fair, especially if you're the type of person who finds it incredibly difficult to start saving. Opportune also lets you break up your savings into different categories that you can see, like rainy day fund, car purchase, home down payment. Opportune, together with all of the other savings methods discussed above, will turn you into an accomplished saver so much faster than you ever thought possible. The best thing to do is just hide the app on your phone and put it out of mind. Then 3 months later, you realize you have more than $1,500 saved for emergencies, debt repayment, or whatever step of the daily dedication you want to tackle next. I don't want to over-recommend something and regret it later, but I can safely say that Opportune is an incredibly useful tool for saving money. I personally use it and recommend it to every person who is serious about turning their financial life around for the better. If for any reason Opportune ends up becoming a bad choice or increases its subscription fee to an amount that I deem too high, I will be the first to announce it to the world. But for now, at $5 a month, it is priced fairly for the powerful tools it provides. Some people tell me that $5 a month is too much to pay for this app. I argue that paying $5 to have any savings at the end of the month is far better than not paying $5 and continuing to have nothing. The biggest takeaway from this savings section is to treat savings like a necessary expense. Treat it as seriously as you do your rent or mortgage, because your savings are what will protect you and help your wealth grow to protect your future as well. Start small with manageable goals, $20 to $30 per week, and automate it. Use Opportune to do the heavy lifting for you and watch as your savings continue to grow. Combine the methods and systems above and knock out every step of the daily dedication. Now it's time to quickly touch on the obligations section of your budget. I will give you a brief overview and conversation, but these topics will be covered in great detail in our other video series. Getting out of debt is basically my favorite thing to help people do in this life. So for now, I will touch on these, but just know that our how-to series will help you crush every debt that you have. In the obligations section, you have student loans, federal taxes, state taxes, property taxes, alimony and child support, credit cards, and other loans. This is where you put everything that you owe, and you can write down the interest rates, and we can start to attack them with the debt snowball or debt avalanche methods. Total your obligations in this section. This section usually makes people upset or overwhelmed, but remember, we are writing everything down to face the reality and start building toward a better financial future, judgment and shame-free. Write down your total obligations above, along with the interest rate you pay for each one. For example, under student loan, you might write $40,000 at 5.5% interest. Then, do the same thing with your credit card balances, writing the smallest balances first, because we will be using the debt snowball method to attack your credit card debt in the next series. If your taxes are automatically paid through your paycheck, that is great. Make sure enough is being taken out to cover your taxes for the year, both federal and state, unless you live somewhere like Texas that doesn't have state income taxes. If you are self-employed or in a tipped profession like me, you need to save enough money every 3 months and make the estimated tax payments to avoid quarterly fees, and don't get behind on taxes because the IRS will get their money. Look up your tax bracket based on your income and understand how the tax gradient system works, effectively taxing different amounts of your income at different rates the more money you make. I cannot offer tax advice because I am not a CPA, but I highly recommend hiring and paying for a licensed professional to help you with your taxes every year. I learn a lot from my CPA, and she is always completing continuing education to stay current with all tax laws, deductions, and depreciation rules that apply to my personal situation. For alimony and child support, I have just one thing to say about it: pay it. This completes your extensive brick-by-brick budgeting deep dive. You have learned so much and learned how to implement these strategies, applying them to your own unique situation. You have learned why you should budget at all, and that budgeting is not restricting, but actually a roadmap to financial freedom. Budgeting gives every dollar an assignment and helps you plan for life's biggest goals while keeping your bills and obligations paid. I took you through every single item in the budget and explained why you should even care about it and how to break them down into monthly expenses that are easy to track, even for items that change monthly or happen at different times throughout the year. This entire series and every single item we discussed in it is available in my personal budget worksheet that you can download for free in the description below, on the My Dedication website, or on any of our social media channels. I want to give you the tools to succeed, and as always, explain the how-to and the why behind each of the concepts that I recommend. Please use this guide to help you plan your budget roadmap and to help you gain complete control over your money. Write to me across any of our platforms, and I will do my absolute best to answer all of your budgeting questions and help you navigate the foundational steps of the daily dedication. I am doing this because I care and believe that financial education needs to be readily available for everyone. This is done with systems. It is done brick by brick. Thank you for watching My Dedication. If you find this type of content useful, please hit that like button and subscribe, as this is just the beginning. We will be providing so much real-world advice and strategies to reach financial freedom with a promise to ethically look out for your best interests every step of the way. I'm Daniel Henry. Comment below or reach out to our community of other like-minded people on their own financial journeys. You can do this. Let's turn money into a tool and not something to be feared or ignored.